bring you both here in and have you both respond to this Jim Jordan tape before we go.
Okay.
This is stunning. One of the chief defenders of Donald Trump in Congress has been implicated in a cover-up, essentially, of a doctor who was sexually assaulting and preying on at least 177 young men between the years of 1979 and 1998. This is former captain of the Ohio State wrestling team, was testifying before Ohio's state legislature that about Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan has denied that he knew anything about it. This guy's name is Adam DiSabato. He was a member of the Ohio State wrestling team in the 80s and the 90s. His brother was one of the in addition was also was basically the whistleblower, the first guy to come out, and then a lot of people followed. And here is Adam DiSabato referring to a phone call he got from Jim Jordan to protect him from being exposed as someone who covered up and knew that this was ongoing.
Jim Jordan called me crying, groveling on the 4th of July, begging me to go against my brother. Begging me. Crying for a half hour. That's the kind of cover-ups that's going on there. Jim Jordan called me several times after that. That week, I had to have my lawyer call him, tell him to stop calling me. I had a teammate, George Pardos, I called and told him, call Jim Jordan and tell him to quit calling me or I'm going to beat his ass. He's throwing us under the bus, all of us. He's a coward. He's a coward. He's not a leader. He's a coward. I'm a leader. I was captain of these guys. That's why I'm here. I would never abandon my team. He abandoned us. Our head coach abandoned us. He's flipped his story. He called other people to flip their story. He called Mark Coleman to flip his story. He called his parents, 90 years old. That's the kind of person.
Yeah.
How does Jim Jordan stay in Congress after that?
Imagine being such a sycophant and someone who wants to protect power so much that you're moved to tears begging to protect sexual abusers. Like, that's the mind of a total beta conservative, someone who's completely bought in to just serving the powerful at all costs.
Well, Jordan he's talking about protecting himself. He's
Well,
like, please don't tell anybody that I knew.
But by proxy, yeah.
I mean, it's stunning. It's stunning to me, and I don't know.
It makes me wonder if we're underrating the impact that blackmail is having on certain like major political actors, like people like Jim Jordan or like Brett Kavanaugh's debts and things like this. All these different things. Like, I feel like there's a pattern to like these really despicable people having things like. I don't know. Do you think that's too paranoid to think about?
No, I don't think that's too paranoid to think about. I mean, I think like the idea that people didn't know that Denny Hastert had some had this in his background, I think is a mistake. I mean, it seems impossible to imagine, frankly, that nobody knew about that and that they didn't actually sort of use that as leverage against him.
Yeah, they're all human beings responding to incentives, and if you have these things in your closet, that's exactly what happens. And
they're in a business, and they're of a personality type where that stuff can be leveraged much more so than other people.
Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they get Hastert on the hush money?
That's where he ended up going to jail. He was trying to pay off these the victims of his abuse. But the idea that the stories weren't floating around, I imagine that it was out there.
Has Jim Jordan ever made a comment, as if anyone remembers, on Epstein / Clinton? I mean, that would be an element of extreme hypocrisy.
Oh, and if he hasn't, it'd be the dog that didn't bark. So.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just also like, hypocrisy shaming is fun, but I'm almost just like it's become so ineffective at this point. They just blow by it.
Yes, hypocrisy is, I think, that is, I mean, it's far more disturbing just that he was just aware that these kids at the time were being preyed upon and he just did nothing about it. Pretty stunning.